Hi everyone! Welcome back to the Midwest Stitches YouTube channel. My name is Danielle and this is my channel where I talk all about my crafting adventures. Today is Thursday, May 15th, and I've got quite a few things over here to share with you. Knitting, and do I have any crochet? Oh, I do have crochet. You can find me on Instagram at midwest.stitches or on Ravelry at Midwest Stitches. So let's jump right on in. Let's not waste any time and let's talk finished objects. I have these socks. I have one on the blocker, but they're both done. You saw this one the last time, so I'm just going to go over it briefly. This is Pumpkins and Wool. She no longer dyes yarn. It's called this was called Southern Belle Shed. Excuse me. And I did fingering weight held double for these. This is using the Crazy Sock Ladies DK weight vanilla sock pattern. That is a free pattern on Ravelry. I used a 2.75 millimeter needle for this version, and I did 15 rounds for the cuff and 40 rounds for the legs. And for this pair, I really played some yarn chicken. Let me tell you, I cut it close. By the time I got to the second sock, I had, let's see, for the tail, before I even got to Kitchenering the toe, I had like this much yarn left. It was so, I was like, am I even going to be able to finish this? I was really cutting close, but I did. I had enough, and I was able to close up the toe and weave in the ends, and the only yarn I had left was the tails. That was it. So this was not quite 100 grams. I didn't weigh it before I started, but I'd actually used maybe 3 or 4 grams in a sock I did a couple months back. I needed yarn for one of the toes because I ran out of the main color. So usually the toes of a fingering weight sock take me up like 3.5 to 4 grams approximately. So this wasn't quite 100 grams, so I could have had a little bit of leftover if it had been the full skein. But that's okay. I'm happy that I now have a formula, if you will, that will use up a whole 100 gram skein for fingering weight held double. And this is a thinner. I've talked about this before. This is a thinner fingering weight yarn. So to give you a comparison, I'm going to show you my second finished object, and I'll compare, give you a close-up of the two so you can see what I'm talking about. So my next finished object is this pair. I have both finished, but one's on the blocker, and as you can see, I ran out of yarn quite a bit before the end of the toe. And this main color is Area 51 Fibers Sweater Weather, and I held it double. And since this is an 80-20 blend, the yarn is much thicker. I cast on 40 stitches for our worsted weight adult sock. And these, I forgot to mention, these are a 48 stitch, so that's the medium size. So basically, I still use the DK weight vanilla sock pattern, but I did the small size count, so that's 40 in the pattern, and just knit it to the adult, the size fit that I needed, and did the instructions for the toe exactly the same. But for these, I use a 3.5 millimeter needle. So that's what I do for this, because it's a worsted weight gauge. And these I also did 15 rounds for the cuff, and then this was actually like 38 rounds for the leg because I wanted to start the heel flap on a new stripe. So I know for next time that I need to significantly cut down the legs, the cuff and the leg on these more worsted weight socks. So I'll show you these together so you can kind of get a feel for how thick the yarn is when you see them together. So if you look at the stitches, you can see that the stitches are much thicker than this. So again, that's just to say, consider that when you're doing a fingering weight held double pattern, and the thickness of the yarn and all that kind of stuff. Those are completed, and I think I'm just going to continue on this DK weight or fingering weight held double sock train because I have a lot of skeins that I've kind of eyeballed in my stash that I think it would be great to use up the entire thing in a pair of socks. And these are all gift socks, so I don't have to worry about having half of a skein hanging around, which happens if I make my shorty pair for myself, if I can only get that in a 100-gram skein, which is the standard. So it's nice to, you know, use these skeins of yarn in a thicker sock, because when I make gift socks for people, or the few people that I do make gift socks for, they only wear them around their house. They will not wear them outside of their home. I'm not like that. I wear mine in my sandals. I go wherever with them on. It doesn't bother me. But for them, they only wear them around their house. So my thought is, well, I'll just make them thicker socks, because generally they're only wearing them in the winter when it's cold. So that just makes the most sense to me, and it'll use up a ton of yarn. So it's a win-win all the way around. And I think, like I said, I think I'm just going to keep, you know, casting on fingering weight held double socks and just kind of use up some stash in that way. I have probably, just off the top of my head, I think maybe around 10 skeins in my stash that I have earmarked for these kind of socks. Oh, and I had someone mention in a comment on Instagram about these and how they'd never seen fingering weight held double in a self-striping. And the only thing that I did special was I wound it into 2 cakes. I will say that. And I just looked for where the pattern repeat started and where the stripe, like say it was like 1 stripe and then it went into a 2nd stripe. So in the middle where the stripes connect, that's where I did my slip knot and started casting on. That's really all I did, and I didn't try to make them match either. So as you can see, they don't really match. This cuff is shorter, or this red stripe is shorter than this one. And then of course, down here you can see my stripes didn't exactly line up inside the cake, so they started to bleed together, and it's pretty prominent on both sides. So right here at the very end, this one turned out really good. The first one turned out really nice with the stripes. The stripes were even. That didn't really bother me, and I don't know if I'll do that going forward, like try to line it up to where the stripes from both cakes it looks like it was dyed to be, you know, a DK or a worsted self-striping. I don't know that I'm going to do that, because I don't know. It would be better or more fun for me, I think, to just pull from the inside and the outside of the cake and just knit them and let them do whatever they're going to do with the self-striping pattern. They might line up, they might not, who knows. Finished objects. I have a couple more. So I did finish this dishcloth. I actually really love these colors together. I didn't think I would, but I do really like it. These are both Knit Picks Dishy. This is Swan and this is Conch. Conch or Conch? I think it's Conch. I lived in Hawaii. I should know that. But I did this, and this was my sample for the tutorial. So I have filmed the tutorial for my pattern to go in the pattern, and I'm working on editing that. So we are getting closer to being able to release the pattern. There's that one. I'm hoping, I think I could have that out by June 1st. I think that's possible. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. But my next finished object, I finished the final flower for my DK blanket, and it is so bright. This is the May Yarnable colorway. It's called Squeeze the Day. And that is going to be like the brightest flower in my blanket. So I'm so excited. I got them all crocheted up and they're ready to go. I'm super happy and looking forward to getting that blanket done. I'm still shooting for sometime this year getting it done, even if I have to move that date back to like the end of December. My next finished object, it's going to be kind of hard to show you. I pulled out a really old whip out of a bag, and all it needed, the pieces just needed blocked. So oh, it's all tangled. So I finished a garland, and I think I showed these pieces last year on an episode, but they're little suns and clouds with raindrops and flowers. So I just have a huge garland, and I just chained it together. So the pieces were done. I just needed to block them. They really needed blocked, the clouds and the suns especially. So they're definitely more, like the sun points are more pronounced. So this really needed it. And now it's done. So this is like I'm calling it my April showers bring May flowers garland. And so this will be like my April, May thing that I put on our fireplace. And I have one more left that I want to make to complete my collection. So if you've not been around here for a while, I've basically have one I made a Christmas one, I have a Halloween one, I have one with like fall leaf colors, and I made a Valentine's one, I have a shamrock one. So I basically have one for kind of every season / holiday, you know, that I want to decorate for, because I'm not really a decorator. This is my solution to having something kind of decorative and cheerful in our house that's seasonal. I like looking at decorations and other people's decoration. That's how I get my fill of the decorating bug. So anyway, I'm gonna work on the last one. It's a 4th of July themed one. I'm just gonna make a string of like crocheted stars, and in like 2 different colors, because I have like a, what do you call it? I don't know, I guess it's variegated, maybe speckled. It's kind of a little bit of both. It's like a red, white, and blue variegated speckled, but it's predominantly a light blue with some red and some whites in it. And then I have a white. So I'm going to alternate those for the garland. And I'm hoping to start working on that here very soon, because I would like to actually have that up for July. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is my little squares knitted blanket. I added in the 6th strip, and it is on this side. There it is. This one right here is the newest one. So it is added in. And now my blanket is 6 strips wide. It is officially halfway done. I'm so excited about this. I'm still loving it so much. It's such a joy to work on. I have 6 strips left. I can't believe that. And I'm actually working on the 7th strip, which I will show you in a minute. It is halfway done. There's that. And I think the 8th strip, I'm gonna do something a little bit different, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So I'll jump right into works in progress so we can talk about that. Here is my 7th strip. I have it all balled up and it's so cute. So here it is. All the ends are woven in. For this one, I was able to actually get a lot of it done because I had some DK weight scraps left over from my Hexi Flower Blanket from the half flowers I made. So I put those scraps in here, and I actually have enough left over that I could probably make a couple more color blocks. But I think I'm gonna add those in, like, you know, a couple strips down. So like maybe the 10th or 11th strip or something, to use those up, because I don't want them laying around. So I am going to use them. I just don't want to put them so close together with this one. I think what I'm gonna do, the thing I'm gonna do different with the 8th strip is I'm gonna try intarsia for this. I was thinking about this because while I don't mind knitting these long rows, because this is like the entire length, so you pick up all those stitches and you knit those rows and then you attach it, I got to thinking it might be easier to like start the strip, like, so here at the bottom you have this, I start with this white, but make it long enough so it's the width of one of those with the border, and just have 2 balls of white going, you know, one here, and then add in the colors and then just work that up. I've watched a couple of videos on how to do intarsia flat like this, and I think it would be easier, and it would mean I would not have to weave in all of these white ends. It really is time consuming. It's not terrible. I've done it for the whole blanket so far, so I'm not against it. I just take a few minutes after every couple color blocks, weave in the ends, and move on. No big deal. But I was thinking, wouldn't that be nice if I could just carry the white, you know, the two color white up the, you know, up the blanket, up the strip, and I wouldn't have to weave in the ends for that. I would just have to weave in the ends for the color blocks. And the main reason I want to do this is so that when I knit that last bit of white at the top, then it's done. The strip is done. I don't have to pick up both sides to do the border. It really does take a long time to knit those because they're so long. And I don't know. It just takes a while and it's kind of hard on my hands, especially doing the bind off. So the binding off part takes a while. So I have to really like set aside time to knit the couple of garter ridges and then do the bind off, because I don't want to do the bind off like and stop in the middle of it. You know, you don't want to like lose that stitch that you're binding off. So I have to make sure I sit down and I do it all at once. So it is kind of hard on my hands. I don't mind the seaming part, so seaming the strip would be no big deal. But I was just thinking that would be easier, because then I can do it all on this, you know, these straights. Forgot the word for straights. I could do it all on the straights. I wouldn't have to have an extra set of needles around. I don't know. So I'm thinking about doing that for this next strip when this one is done and seeing how I like that, because I would totally knit another one of these blankets again if this method, the intarsia method, makes it easier. There is that. Oh, and I don't think I've ever showed this. Since I started this at Christmas, this is what I hold the strip in while I'm doing it. This cute Christmas chickens bag. I love this print so much. Now that we've got that blanket talk out of the way, my next work in progress, I have one done, and it is this beautiful yarnable. This is the April colorway called Guava Cream Macaroon. So I have one done, and the second one I'm hoping to have done today. I'm on the foot of it. There's the front. I did the heel, finished that yesterday. So I think I could have this done tonight, or at the very latest have it like do the toe tomorrow morning. But I'm really hoping to cast on a new pair of socks tomorrow from my May basket of yarn. I am kind of behind on that since I did 2 pairs of DK socks and my blanket and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of behind on where I wanted to be with that. It's not a big deal, but you know, I got goals. So, all right, so let's talk about one last blanket. I think I talked about this the last time maybe that I was going to frog this. But I did. So here is what I had started. This was the Rainbow Ripple baby blanket. But I was doing the Starburst, I think it's called Starburst baby blanket by Jada and Stitches. I just could not get in a groove with this. This is like such a popular pattern, but I think what it is for me, I do not like doing the double crochet into the top of the stitch. So like with the traditional granny stitch, you use the spaces and it's so much easier. It's so much faster. I find it so much more enjoyable. But this one, because it's kind of more of a closed style, you knit into the top of the V's on the row. So I decided I'm gonna frog this. I found another pattern. I'll show it to you in just a second, that I'm loving so much more. But this one, this yarn is Yarn Bee Authentic. I don't know the color, but it is 100% superwash. But I will tell you, I do not recommend this yarn, just in my opinion. The reason I didn't frog this to put it in my new one is because this yarn, I don't think it likes to be crocheted because it is super hard to frog. Like the yarn just gets stuck on itself. And like, you're just kind of like, yeah, like the yarn just doesn't pull out effortlessly when you're crocheting it, or when you're like undoing it, it gets knotted on itself. It's crazy. So what I did was, I was at the beginning of a round. I had just slip stitched the round together. So I cut off the yarn, and I'm just gonna like block this and make it like a doily or something. Maybe I'll give this to my mom if she wants to put it on like the center of her table. We don't use our kitchen table for various reasons. I won't really go into that, but we don't really use our kitchen table. I don't have a place to put this. I don't have like a table where I would put like a vase or a bowl or some sort of decoration. Like we don't have that kind of house or that kind of setup in our house. Maybe I'll see if she wants this after I block it and get it kind of looking nice. But I just decided to keep that, so it's kind of a finished object. What I did start, I am loving so much. I can tell that this project is going to grow very fast. I'm very excited to work on it. It's funny because I said in the last episode I was going to take a break from crocheting. I think that lasted all of like a week. Joke's on me. So anyway, what I started was another crochet star blanket, but it is a granny stitch star blanket. And you guys, I'm super happy with this. Look at that. Is that not amazing? It's an 8-point star. It's kind of floppy, but. So I started with the center color, and this is actually that same yarn beat yarn. So it looks so nice. It's just flowing so nicely. Because this yarn, if you look closely, the middle, it has some pinks in it, so I think it flows. Really nice. So there's that. This pattern is not a written pattern that I know of. It is on YouTube. I will link the video that I use down below. Super easy to follow. Easy pattern. Once you establish the pattern, I think after, I want to say the 8th round, from there, only every 3rd round has one minor difference. And all it is you skip this middle stitch. So like right here, you skip that and you just go to the next one. So it keeps the V shape, the points, the valleys on it. So you do that every 3rd round and that's it. That's the only thing you have to do different. You can just crochet forever and make this as big as you want. The only thing I'm doing different than her instructions. So her instructions have you, when you start a round, she has you crochet. Hers is just continuous in a spiral, like round and round and round, not turning it. So I'm doing 2 things different. One is I'm turning mine, and that's mostly because at the beginning of her rounds, she has you start in right away with your double crochets. So she just, you slip stitch and then you go right back into that space below and do your 3 double crochets to make your granny stitch. And I was finding I was having a hard time with the first double crochet. For some reason, it looked funny. It was really short. And even in her video, I noticed that hers were like that, because eventually you're going to come back around and you're going to slip stitch into that first double crochet that you do. And I was having such a hard time with that. So after probably the 8th round, or when I started doing the pattern of the 3 or whatever, every 3rd round, that thing, what I started doing was at the beginning of the round, like slip stitch the round together to close it up. And then instead of double crochet, I would do chain 3, 2 double crochets. So that counted as a granny stitch, but I would chain 3, turn, and then do that. And so I would be working back around the opposite side. So each round, like I'm working on this side, and then I would turn, work the other side, back and forth, not realizing that what that did. So my round, when I did that, I started here at a point, and slowly it has worked my beginning of round down the valley. So eventually my beginning of round is probably gonna like go all the way around somehow. It hasn't messed with the shape, with the pattern at all. As long as you know the pattern and you stick to it, it doesn't mess anything up. I mean, you're just, as long as you do that 3rd round where in the valleys, you're skipping that middle stitch, you can still do this. It's not going to mess with the shape. And so far, it hasn't messed with the shape for mine. I'm super excited about this. I'm still using the exact same color palette of yarns that I was going to do for the Rainbow Ripple one. So it's going to be a very fall kind of earthy toned themed blanket. And it will be ginormous. This is just like the middle with the light colored yarn. That was a yarnable yarn. That's just 50 grams held double. So it's going to be huge. I think I have like 800 grams of yarn I have set aside for this blanket. It will be massive, but I'm super happy to put them together and use up some stash and make a different kind of blanket than I've made before. I will have the pattern link down in the description box below. And just for reference, I'm using a G 4mm crochet hook for this blanket. So there is that. So the only other thing I have to talk about is I got some exciting mail. I know I haven't talked about mail in a while. I just kind of skip over that. But I did want to show you this. I got my order. I can't even hold them all. They're just like sliding all over the place. Oh my gosh. Okay. I got my order of Pop-Tart crust in the mail. This is for my DK Hexi blanket. This should be all the joining color I need if I did the math right. This is 5 full skeins and 150 just for a little extra. Hopefully that's enough. And then I have a couple 20 grams in a little bit darker color that I've kind of used throughout the blanket. So if I need it, I can finish off some Hexis and hopefully be good. But I'm excited. I can finish my blanket now. Yay. So as you can see, I got my Swift and my yarn winder up here. So it is time to wind these up and get them in the bag. I am going to, for that blanket, I am going to lay out what I have on my bed and then take my flowers that I've completed and kind of place them and play around, because I'm trying to keep it from where like all of the dark flowers are together, or like, you know, I don't want all of the same colors next to each other kind of a thing. So I will do some placement. So it won't be completely kind of random, but I'm excited. So I'm going to take a picture of that and whatnot, but I'm just so excited to have that and I can continue on with it. And I think my goal starting in June, so June 1st, obviously will put us we're 6 months away from the end of the year. I think what I'm going to try and shoot for is doing 2 hexagons a day in that blanket. I think that's a manageable amount. Those don't take me very long to do. So, and these are all joining. So I'm joining flowers, I'm joining the pieces together, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how many days are left in the year starting June 1st. Math, I don't know, calendar math, but hopefully that will be enough and we'll see how quickly it grows. And who knows, there might come, you know, there might be a day where I'm like, oh, I want to do 3 or 4. I want to do, you know, however many in a week. And, you know, I'll just roll with it and see how I'm feeling about it. If I'm really wanting, if I'm close to the end, like say I have 1 row of flowers left, I will probably push myself to get those added in and get it done. That is going to be all for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you aren't subscribed to my channel already, hit the subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time. Take care and God bless. Bye.